Welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. I am so grateful to be here with Regan Forston, and I am just like, it's already the third month, the third week of January of 2026, and
Yep.
boy, are we on a ride. We're on a ride with all the energies going through right now, and it's just like, so if you're not sleeping, and if you're tired during the day, if you're struggling with just energy, if you're struggling with just like, who am I? I'm not getting motivated, all those different things. Just remember, you're just riding the ride of all the energies that are out there right now. And so don't be hard on yourself. I know I just kind of woke up after, not necessarily woke up, but just kind of got out of my, like in the ozone of when I did sleep last night and then going to work and then coming home and kind of going back into that ozone again. So, and Regan said that he didn't sleep last night either,
Mm-mm.
but we just had a bunch of solar flares. We just went into the Aquarius energy, and this Aquarius energy is going to be pretty powerful. And so it's that building up type of thing. So Regan, how have you been? You've been
Been
on a
good.
ride too, and the last time we talked
Yeah,
it was in the 2025 year. So
that's
now
right.
we're in the 2026 energy, and
Yep.
we're just kind of doing things. And I know you were talking about Orion, you know, getting something done with him, and his
Mm-hmm.
privacy. I don't want to get into that on the
Mm-hmm.
privacy on the show here, but he's doing better, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. And then, so how have you been the holiday season and coming into this year?
Wow. That's funny just how I'm just trying to think of our last conversation because I say this every single time, but when you notified me about third Wednesday again, I mean, my mind still didn't think it could be possible that it could be that soon since last month. But I guess we've been busy. We went to uh, Maui for a week to get away from the rain here, which was nice. And then we came home for 2 days, and then we went to Palm Springs for a week to the film festival. I've really been enjoying the film festivals, especially the documentaries. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's some really good documentaries out there. I mean, I guess it's an old mindset, how we're trained, because it used to be growing up, the documentaries were, that's for old people, that's not, we want to see Star Wars and we want to see all that stuff. And then we
Uh-huh.
don't really care about how the world runs, how it, what people are doing. We're just kind of in when we're younger, just in our own little space about what we need at the moment and what our dreams and things are. Yeah, it was nice, and the weather was a lot better, and it really rained here in Northern California. I mean, they had flooding for on and off for a week in one part, on the main major freeway. So people sometimes what would take 10 minutes to get through took them hours sometimes to get somewhere because they had to go in roundabout ways and there's so much traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy. And
I
I
know
would
we had
just
flooding up here too. That was pretty
yeah, you did,
impactful.
didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and we
yeah,
had
yeah.
that whole flow going here on the West Coast. So
Yeah.
it was pretty amazing. Because we're used to the flow that comes from Hawaii, right? But we
Yeah,
got two of them back to back.
you did. You got two of those atmospheric rivers.
Mhm.
So right now it's pretty dry, which is good. What I was funny because I don't want to lose this thought when we're talking about manifesting and everybody, it just seems to be what we do at the end of the year. We kind of think about, well, what am I going to do to improve myself next year? And whether people write it down or not, everybody seems to have something that they're thinking about that they want to change or improve.
Mhm.
Um, some people are, then another year will go by and they'll go, that didn't happen last year. I meant at the first of the year I was going to change something, but I'm still doing the same thing. It's
Mhm.
so hard to get us out of our ruts to make changes sometimes because our subconscious likes things to stay as they are because it has a routine. It's like ADHD, kind of thing with our subconscious. It's like once we have things settled in there and then it can go, okay, I don't have to worry about anything. I just do this same thing every day and everything's going to be
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And then we start with our mind, we start going in there to try to change something, and the subconscious is going, hey, wait a minute, I just got settled. Come on, I can't do this, So
Yeah.
that's this whole thing about manifesting. But I thought it was kind of interesting that in nature right now, this is when the bears are hibernating. I mean, they're in there sleeping,
Mhm.
relaxing, not doing anything. And here we are trying to make major changes when we are kind of in hibernation mode,
Exactly.
because, like it's raining outside. We just want to, cover up and sleep through the rain and all that instead of make changes. So it seems like that things are against us from the get-go for making a change because you think in springtime now that's when you think that we should make major changes because that's when everything is beginning and becoming new and everything. Might be something to that sometimes where maybe to plan and say, okay, 1st of April, that's when I'm going to make my change or something,
Exactly.
Uh,
Well, just a second. I'm gonna go get it because I'm
okay.
part of the Energy Almanac, right? I'm part of this
Ah.
Energy Almanac, and they've actually changed it from going from, you know, the beginning of January, because actually the Aries in April,
Mm.
the Aries energy is when actually the new year starts for the solar,
Wow.
um for the astrology.
Wow. Isn't
And
that funny? I
so
never thought of that ever. And I just mentioned that, and then you're mentioning that.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so going into this, that, it's okay if we are just thinking of things. Like I was asking the universe, what do I need to do for my future, right? And
Yeah.
they said, my team just said to me, that do those things that you would regret. If you thought 3 months from now, what would be the things that you would regret not doing? Do those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I started calling up some friends, "Let's get together," you know? "Let's put things on the calendar," and what was interesting, it wasn't about, I mean, yeah, I wanna clean my house, yeah, I wanna do different things in my house, different things with my relationship, yeah, but actually, it was actually relationship based. It was getting together
Mm-hmm.
with people, it was communicating, it was reaching out to people in a text, "I was thinking of you." All these different things that was engaging with me, that was part of that energy. So, when we're manifesting, it doesn't have to necessarily be about money.
Yeah.
It could just be about
Right.
a happier life. It could be about, just being more tranquil about things, about just being in the flow of things. Manifesting is about the bigger picture of what do I want in my life, the abundance that we can have, right? That
Yeah.
abundant picture that we want to have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a moment.
Well, that's interesting. So what Patty and I like to do every year is when we're on our little hiatus around Christmas time is do our a review of the year anyway. And what we do is we write down everything we can remember that we did,
Mhm.
places we went and everything. And then we look at like the changes that we had wanted to make last year, which ones did we make or which ones are we making progress on? And then we do a page on what we tried that didn't work, you know, and just kind of like giving an overview of the past year, and then we write goals or things we want to do for the new year. But I do find that just writing things down instead of keeping it in your head helps to kind of get things moving.
Mhm.
Even if people like in January now, if they just write down the things and then they put an order of importance, A, B, C, or D. Okay, these are so you know in your mind, what you want, what's the most important thing for you, because otherwise we get kind of scattered doing a little here and a little there, and then nothing seems to change. Um, but I'm really becoming a believer more and more all the time that that what we think happens. You know, in other words, if we think we're going to have a lousy year, we have a lousy year. If we think we're going to have a good year, then we do. It's so much about, um, and what I'm realizing too, because I've had some clients with some difficulties recently, and realizing that. you can have two people that go through the same exact, what we would call difficult thing, and
Mhm.
one person's okay with it and one person is completely messed up about it.
Yeah.
And it's because the incident itself has no, it's neutral, you know. Incidents are neutral. The things, when a tornado comes in, it's neutral, it's just doing its thing, you know. It's how we react to it. And
Mhm.
you know, we put the thing, well, it was a horrible thing, or wow, I'm glad that was by and I'm alive now and everything's okay. You know, we decide how we want to deal with it, you know. When you have somebody difficult in your life, maybe a relationship at work, and you got to go into work and deal with this person that's so negative and blah 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 blah, you know. If we choose to kind of fight back at that and try to resent that person and all that, I mean, we're going to throw gasoline onto the onto the fire, you know. And instead of just saying, hey, what can I learn from this difficult person, you know, how can I learn to be more patient or tolerant of this person, you know, set my boundaries, of course, you know, that sort of thing. But um, you know, it's just, we always like to think something's happening to us instead of something's happened for us,
Mhm.
you know, that way. So I
I
think
know.
I've been pretty good
Yeah.
about,
Exactly, like, I had a morning.
yeah.
It was, and I've been using the word amazing. "This was an amazing moment," or "This was a wow moment," or something like that. "Hi, Paula, thank you for being here. I finally remembered what day it was today. Yay." Hello, Paula. And I know, Veronica, you're probably out there too. It was like one of those mornings that, I forgot my husband was gone, and he usually feeds the dog in the morning. So I'm hearing this dog at, 8 o'clock, "Ah," like, and so
Yeah.
I run down, feed her because he usually feeds her at 6 o'clock. So 2 hours later, it's like, and so then my husband has my car, right? So it was like I was waiting for a ride, and I know this ride usually gets to work right on time. Well, I was waiting for her, and I was all ready for her because I didn't want her to wait for me. So I got in there, on the way to work. I asked her, so I kind of maybe heard that somebody wasn't going to be there. And this person that wasn't going to be there was someone who we share, responsibilities. This hour, late start Wednesday, this hour, she watches one gate while I watch the students, right? So we share. Well, come to find out, she was gone and she didn't tell me personally. So as I'm getting everything ready, finding out that she's not there, no sub. So then I find out, oh, okay. Then find out that there's a gate open because they're doing work on the playground. Well, ended up in the few minutes that I found out about things, ended up having to go out. And the thing is, though, I didn't really want to go out quite yet, because I can be in the gym for about a half an hour, or I could
Hmm.
go out. It was 32 degrees outside.
Ooh.
So, guess what I had to do? I had to take the 10 kids that I was watching outside in 32-degree weather, which I was outside for an hour and a half with.
Wow.
Now, the one thing that I ended up doing, and this is the one thing that I really worked on, because in that middle of after the hour, they were doing work on the playground. So then when the buses started arriving, everybody started arriving, that the cars that were the construction guys were saying, well, we got to leave right as the buses are arriving. So we got kids that are coming on the playground as cars are trying to leave the playground in the same gate, right? And so all this little chaos, come to find out, my fob that I have to get in and out of the school is in my car with my husband in Kent. So there, it just was like one of those cluster moments, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Hmm.
the one thing that I was saying, as it's 32 degrees and it was cold, but I noticed how warm the sun was.
Mm.
And I just focused on, thank you, sun. And I pictured myself like a cat sitting in the window, getting all nice and warm, right? Instead of saying, and I was like going, well, that was a moment, and when somebody would ask me how am I doing or that kind of stuff, I'm just processing. So if I started ranting a little bit about, well, this was a morning, da 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 da, da, and just say, I'm just processing. Thank you for letting me process.
Hmm.
Thank you for letting my brain process this. So I was naming kind of what I was doing. But that's one thing that I noticed after I started processing was that I told myself, I need to stop being the victim. I need to stop being a victim. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm free from being the victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then after the fact of processing, well, why didn't somebody in the office notice that I was the only one that was responsible for 3 gates being open and the kids out in the 32-degree weather, right? Why didn't the principal notice? Why, right? And so with that, it's a moment. And so I didn't necessarily manifest this day to happen, right? I didn't manifest it to happen. But that's the thing is that, like we were talking about, that, I could have pulled more negative to me by manifesting it, but tried to stay in the neutrality of, oh, wow, that was a moment, because we all have life that we can manifest towards us.
Mm-hmm.
But life is happening to us. Life is going to be negotiated. We're always going to have something that happens that could be a positive or a negative, but it's our processing. And so, yeah, I really needed to lay down and go to sleep, or at least go into no man's land, just become more neutral. And as I was leaving work, I believe in shaking it off like a dog, let me shake it off
Mm-hmm.
like a dog, because dogs are really good about shaking off moments, right?
Yes.
Shake it
Yes.
off. And it was funny how, there's awarenesses that came to me during this moment. Like, there's this one coworker that she came out and and she supported me today because, she just knew that things were happening. And so she came out and spent some time with me this morning when I was out there. And it was nice because I had to walk around and help somebody go to the bathroom, or, it's like having other eyes on the playground was nice. So going into this, that, it's like being grateful in the midst of these hard times, that sun
Mm-hmm.
warming me, I could have been a victim of being cold, but no, the sun was warming me.
Mm-hmm.
The universe, and that's part of this negotiation, because if you don't see how the universe is helping you, you can't see how it's helping you manifest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
That's it.
I
Yeah.
I really noticed how the universe said, "We're gonna give you warmth today." They gave me a wool shawl, so my black wool shawl was getting the warmth of the sun and making me warmer so that I can be out there. Now, the kids were running around. They were sliding down the slides with frosty butts. They were having a great time, right? Yes, they were cold, but at the same time, they were moving and running, where I'm not running around on the playground with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, so Regan, can you give other ideas? Because I think that that's where we need to start now. This is only an hour show, so it's going to be kind of
Yeah.
a quick view. But first off, we really need to talk about, how does the universe talk to us? Because if we don't recognize that, how can we know that they're actually manifesting? We're actually getting what we manifested, or what
Yeah.
the universe wants to help us with.
Yeah. Um, it's funny too. Like now I'm manifesting for this year, that I want to get paid as a speaker. I want to go and do some things, right? Yeah. And so I did just the first part of January. I started. Um, it's funny too because I know our phones listen to us, but Google's listening because all of a sudden I'm getting all these advertisements for speakers bureaus on my phone. And I'm supposed to, after the show today, I'm supposed to talk to, it's up your way, Salem Speaker Bureau. And they're trying to get everybody to sign up, and you pay them $100 a month, and they're supposed to get you speaking gigs. So I'm a little leery of that because when I was an actor in Hollywood, they had some of these things that would advertise and say, list with us, it's $100 a month, and we're going to get you all kinds of jobs. And you find out they're just trying to get us, they'll sign up anybody, regardless of if they have any talent or anything, and charge them that money because they were just out to just, do that. But they didn't do much to get us work. And then I found out that the way Hollywood really works is you have to audition for an agent and do a number of things. They look at your work, and if they think that you're bookable, and then they'll book you, but they just take 10 or 20%, of
Mhm.
whatever they do. So, but I saw some good reviews from a few people, but I don't know if those are,
You
those
have
are
to check it
legit.
out. You have to check it out. I agree, because I
Yeah.
know that for me, just Googling, speaking availability, you
Yeah.
know, and it was like, well, maybe I could do that, just,
Yeah.
but it takes a little bit of work. And I'm kind of in that fine line between my brain, and like we were talking about at the beginning of this year that, it's almost like in dormancy. It wants to do these things, but it also wants to do nothing, and so,
Hmm.
listening to my astrologer that we're in these gates right now of the human design where it's about pause. It's about, negotiating the energies. It's about, saying not quite yet. And no, hello, Veronica. It's like it's a moment for where we're at. Thank you for everybody who's coming on here. We're in the middle of, but like I like what you said though. It's about writing things down. It's about getting things, because manifestation isn't about, you flip on the switch and it happens.
Yeah.
It's a frequency, it's a flow, it's a movement, it's an ability to say, okay, I can get this going, and but it's doing the work along the way.
Right. Yeah. Like what I had to do in my process was, okay, speakers bureaus aren't just going to call me. I have to look and find out the speakers bureaus that talk about or that book people that talk about metaphysical things, because some speakers bureaus, this is not even anything they have clients for. So I asked Chat GPT, that kind of helped me and I get me some different agencies that do that, which was good. So then I knew, okay, what do I have to do? Well, I have to have some sort of resume or biography or bio or something to do. So I had chat. I mean, chat really helped me. I wrote everything out, and then I was amazed how it fine tuned it, and it sounds pretty good now. So, and had to get an update photo and stuff and that. So, and I thought, okay, my my consciousness usually in life was to, well, for instance, when I was in real estate, and I lived in a middle class neighborhood, so I didn't think to go out of my class, So my whole everything that I was gearing to get clients and sell houses to was in houses in my neighborhood and people that were like me. And here were these guys in the office, and they were selling these houses 4 or 5 or 10 times more expensive than the ones I was selling, and they were making all this money. But I didn't feel I was in that class, like, oh, these rich, I didn't feel like I could sell a rich person's house, but that was just about me because I was middle class. So I've changed a bit in that too. So I got the resume there and I sent my resume out to a couple of the speakers bureaus in the country. So I thought, why do I want to, the Salem's Bureau thing could be interesting. We'll see. But why not kind of go for the gold? Because I have been giving speeches and stuff at these soul search events and things. I just love it. I feel like I'm totally in heaven when I'm doing it. I feel
Yeah,
like
me
I'm
too.
totally there. Yeah, and I get all emotional. I get, and I do well. I can, but now I do realize if I'm going a bigger time, it would be good if I was more conscious of my talk. In other words, um, I know I could be a better speaker, by doing things, learning how to, look people in the eye and learning how to slow down and learning how to be, whatever. But I just really can feel that somehow this year I'm going to, my goal is to do at least a half a dozen paid speaking events by the end of the year. And I just have a feeling it's going to happen because I can see that I've been building up to it by doing these podcasts. Like, when you and I did the podcast, and every time we're on, like I was on Coast to Coast again last week with George Norrie this time. And yeah, so that's my third time in 2 years being on Coast to Coast. And I was on Jeff Mara podcast, and he's done interviews with 400 people that have had near-death experiences.
Hmm.
So you guys who are listening today, check that out at Jeff Mara, at Jeffmara. He probably knows more about near-death experiences than anybody because he's heard all these hundreds and hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of stories, that way. And what a nice man he was. So between the two, I've had about 100 people that want. I am booked now into the middle of April. And
Cool.
oh
Congratulations.
yeah, and I can't afford to be sick. So again, setting goals. My goal is to up my game on what I eat, what I put in my body, and then part of me, see, right now, I just felt that, how come I have to make some changes? But I look back at what I've made since last year and I realized, wow, I'm having a lot less sugar now, probably half as much as I did a year ago, but I still feel guilty for, eating too much sugar. But I think I'm doing pretty good on that. And, I'm doing, protein shakes every day with all the good, I'm taking lots of vitamins and all that stuff and everything. Need to exercise a little bit more, but I have made improvements since last year. So I'm saying, okay, all I need to do is go the next step now, and
Mhm.
just take on one or two things and do that. So, um, uh,
And Kimberly says, "Congratulations! I listened to you on Coast to Coast,
oh, she
and
did.
interview. Congratulations! Yeah.
Uh,
Um, well,
yeah,
that
that's good. So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm doing a life between life session about every 3 days now, so that's we'll see what happens when I'm on your show in April. See if I held up that, because it takes a lot of energy. I had one the other day, that my last one a few days ago was about 7 hours, and but it was just it ended up being perfect, but it was pretty draining,
Mhm.
and so um, what we do find in this research, when you're on the other side, when I have people visiting the afterlife, when they're in heaven or with their guides and things, everything that you want to manifest happens instantly. You know, in other words, when someone says, "Okay, I want to go over to the soul group and talk to my mother who's on the other side," and usually I'll say, "Okay, 1, 2, 3, now you're there." Well, people tell me that once we just even say that, all of a sudden they're in a new place over there,
Mhm.
and they're with their soul group. So, um, but down here, because of the thickness of things, they say it takes longer to manifest things,
Mhm.
that way. But just imagine though, if things manifested instantly here, oh boy, we'd be in a lot of trouble, because there's a lot of people that think negative things, or they don't think out things before they wish something. You know,
Uh-huh.
like seeing the genie and he gives you five
I was
wishes,
just
and
thinking the genie.
yeah, and you first thing you say, I want to be a multimillionaire, but that's all you say. And all of a sudden you're like a multimillionaire, but you're a paraplegic or something, or something. And because you didn't specify exactly. So it really takes time. You have to think about, when you manifest things, you want to think about more than just the issue. You want to think, well, let's manifest it like if someone said, okay, you're in a speakers bureau, we have a 10,000 gig for you tomorrow. I'm not ready for that yet. I mean, I have to have some advance notice. I have to plan. I have to do things. So you have to I want everything, like, as I'm putting out to the universe, I'm going to do what I have to do, send everything out. And then I want to allow the universe, in a timely, but, but good flowing, you know, a good flowing process, to have it all happen, to where
Mhm.
I'm ready and everything, that way.
And that's one
Um,
thing that I love about, though, that this is an opportunity right now with the energies where we're at, is to, because it's basically, it's preparation and opportunity. So you have to be prepped for the opportunity. Because I know for me, one time when I put out an email and then I got on the Next Level Soul, right? And it was like I had a choice between this hour or this hour, and it was like it was either 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning, and I'm like, being on in the morning for me, you know? And so I wasn't necessarily my best, but I said 10 o'clock just to give myself another hour to get going. And then once it was on, I didn't necessarily block out my schedule.
mhm.
So, but I said, "Well, you asked for this. You asked for this, Natasha. Walk the path. You asked for this. Step up and do it. The universe gave you what you asked for.
Yeah,
Walk through it." It's like, and so a lot of us, when we're in this middle of asking for things and doing things, that we forget that we actually have to do the action. We have
yeah,
to, so it's not necessarily for us to limit what we want, right? But it's about stepping up to meet what we can do, because a lot of us don't think we can. Heck, like when you said, well, if I got a speaking gig tomorrow, can I do it? And I would go, yeah, I'd figure a way,
I
right?
probably would too. That actually happened a few times when I was a corporate comedian for all those years, and somebody from some company or something would call it and they'd say last minute, they go, oh, we had a comedian that was coming in and he just canceled on us last minute. We found you on the internet. We need a show in 3 days. And I would do custom comedy shows. So I would have to learn their product and then I would write jokes and everything. It was kind of a roast of their product and everybody in the company. But here's how I was so lucky in that, Natasha, because I had a vision one time when I was getting an initiation from someone on the other side, and they took me to a place where I was in a cave, and there was my guide, and there was a lot of little munchkins like little people that were there, and they were carrying to me. They all had gifts for me, and I knew it was that I was going through an initiation because I wasn't dreaming, but I was in deep trance. And then my guide says, "Come here. I want to show you where comedy comes from, because you know." And so he walked me over, and it was like I think of like in Yosemite where they have the big sheer granite thing that goes up like a quarter mile,
Mhm.
and we were in a cave about halfway up. And there was from looking at from the outside, you could see an opening and I could see the guide in me looking out, this
Mhm.
way. So I was looking out over this beautiful valley and he said, anytime you want to write comedy, I want you to just think of this image here and it'll open you to writing comedy. So when I looked out, it looked like I was looking out at a Willy Wonka kind of land. I mean, there was these hot air balloons, all these colors, and it was so peaceful and it was so sweet. And so after I had that vision, I had people call me up for shows and I had to like put something together like in 3 or 4 days. I didn't even worry about it at all because all I had to do was think of that
Mhm.
image that I'm seeing in my head right now and I would start writing and it would just happen. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So, but I was lucky that, my guides gave me a thing. Same thing when I had my life between life thing, when I went to the afterlife the first time and they took me to one of my questions was I want to learn how to get inspiration to write songs, to write music, because I was a music major in college, but I was undisciplined. I didn't, I got a C+, I think. I didn't really study. I didn't really get it, but I've always wanted to. um, so I found myself in this room. It was like it's on stage. It was a riser. I didn't see an audience or anything, but my guide was there, and I heard this beautiful violin music. I looked over, and my guide was playing the violin. And then he comes up to him and he says, "Regan, when you want to create, I want to give you this image, and it'll open you up to inspire you to write music." He had a fishing pole, and there was a bunch of hooks on it. And he says, "Watch this and remember this." And he took the fishing pole and threw it out towards the audience. And then when he pulled it back, all the hooks had notes on it instead of fish. And so um, I just used that, and I produced that album. I got a couple royalty checks. Here's how you can't make any money doing this. So they played my songs 22,000 times, and I made $98. You know, so forget making music. Unless you're like, somebody real important that does millions and millions of hits, and then you
Uh-huh.
make a little bit of money. But so what I'm saying is, um, we have to put in this equation if you're manifesting now. You want to access your higher self. And as we found out in the research we're doing, we all have our higher self that's up there.
Mhm.
Um, and when I do these sessions with people, they come face to face. They're looking straight at their higher self and talking to their higher self about their mission and all this kind of stuff. And we have to realize we're not here by ourselves. In other words, our higher self up there is saying, "Come on, Regan, do what you got to do. Send those resumes out. Don't be lazy now." You know, and realizing that we have work to do too. So I would say people, when you have goals, even minor ones, pray about it, ask for help from your guides and all that, and say, please put in front of me the things I need to do and give me the willpower to do the work I have to do in other words to make it happen.
Mhm.
So, it's it's a two-way street. It's like we have to do what we need to do, then they'll do their part, you know,
Mhm.
to help make it happen, you know.
We are the human that's doing the interaction of
Yeah.
the world around us, and it's about, negotiating that. Because I know for the other day that, I've been waking up saying I'm in the frequency, you know, when I'm in that ozone layer, I'm in the frequency of becoming a multimillionaire, because I don't want to cap myself, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to say I want to be $100,000, No, I want anything better, more this or something better, right? So I'm saying
Yeah.
on top of it, and I'm asking for, me to be a service, to bring love and light. I want speaking engagements. I want to be able to help people one-on-one or in groups. It's like I
Yeah.
really am here to be of service for you, universe. Show me the steps. Show me the way to negotiate it. And that's one thing that they told me was just start doing those things that I would regret not doing. And I know for me, like the last couple nights I haven't been sleeping, so I've been trying to get my newsletter out. And that's even been a struggle. My dyslexia has been triggered, so that's even been a little bit of a struggle too, trying to get into the written word. But the thing is, though, as we're going forward, we have to go beyond what these days are like, because it's hard to get motivated some days, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But what we can do is we can spend the time, like you're saying, writing things down. I love that idea. I have not written things down. I was on the radio on because I'm on Martha Norwalk's Animal World, and like she said that, she tithes. She noticed that a lot of her abundance is with tithing.
Yeah.
And I really got the bigger picture. It's not about tithing, it's about the exchange. If we
Yes.
hold on to our money, if we hold on to our story, if we hold on to it, do you see what my hands are doing? They're gripping
Hmm.
onto it. We're not going to let the universe give us what we're asking for. And the universe doesn't always give us exactly what we're looking for, but it gives us what would help us to negotiate our story,
Yeah.
right? And so when we're coming into this, so I'm going to talk about one thing that I've been struggling with. I do Louise Hayes, where certain days I wear certain colors, like today is a turquoise day,
Okay.
and it's my fifth day. It's like I go from 1 to 9, and it's my fifth day, which has the number 5 intentions. And so I have a yellow day, and I've been struggling wearing yellow, but this mustard yellow, and I have this one jacket that it has some mustard gold on it, and I'm like, I don't have any tops that I can wear underneath it, because I just don't want to wear black underneath it. I want to wear, some color. So I wouldn't mind having some mustard yellow shirts. Well, I went out for lunch with my girlfriend. I said, and she goes, "Do you want to go to a thrift store?" And I go, "Sure." I'm kind of looking for some mustard looking shirts. Found a dress that has a tank top. It would be nice for summer. It would be cute with boots on. It would be cute. Got it. And it was 50% off, right?
Yeah.
Then she's going to another thrift store to give some clothes for them to so that they can sell them. And I'm like I'm looking for just plain. I got this really cute long sweater. I got this other, and they were all like, there's one top I had to say no to, which was kind of
Hmm.
cute on me, but it wasn't. So actually, the universe was showing me that if I really put my intention out there and I let go of the outcome,
Hmm.
I actually got what I was asking for.
Yeah.
And that's the trick, is that as I'm looking for this, because I know that your other half, Patty, she's like a manifester like no tomorrow.
Oh boy. Yes, yes. She's and and we're leaving tomorrow morning. We're going for 2 days down. Actually, I'm is part of this too. I paid like $1,000 last year for a year of training in neuro linguistic programming, and um, she pays, oh gosh, it must be 15, 16 years, maybe longer now. She's paid this her coach about $20,000 a year, every year. But he has this whole different approach to being successful compared to what you usually see out there. And he says no matter what profession you're in, your customers first. You don't even think about the money part. You just think about being of
Mhm.
service. And he's a probably one of the top real estate guys around. His dad is actually the biggest in the world, but he he didn't like the way his father's approach was, where it was to, get in there, manipulate them, do this, do that,
Mhm.
grind. He says no, the universe will provide everything we need if we just allow it to. And so, uh, in this room, there's usually about 100 and some people. A number of them are billionaires because of his stuff, and they get up and talk about how they have plenty of time with their family. They go on vacations and everything, and the work is just something that they do to provide themselves to have a good life with love and family and this sort of thing. And they allow the universe to bring their customers to them,
Mhm.
and it's all about allowing and knowing the universe will take care of you and coming from service. And I just I did watch it with Patty just dozens and dozens of times. She's thinking, "Oh, I'm out of listings now," and she goes, "Just have to allow her something." Next day, someone out of the blue will call, or she'll hear something or whatever, and she's spinning like crazy all the time. And it's just stuff that just comes, like the universe just says, "Okay, you're done with that one. Here's another one. Now help these people and help these people." And I love seeing her. The fact that she's always helps these people. I mean. She's a great negotiator, and she's made so many friends, lifelong friends from selling their houses and stuff.
Mhm.
So she'll just tell you she's a manifest. I wish she was here today because we were talking about this. She's actually taken her brother back to the airport. He's been here for 3 weeks, and she had to take him to the airport. Otherwise, I'd have her sitting here because she's a
Well,
major
I actually would
manifester.
like to have her on my show again because I
Yeah,
know she was on my
she'd
show.
love that.
Yeah, she was on my show a couple years ago, and actually, it's on my YouTube channel. If somebody wants to look up for Patty, being on my show about manifesting, she was on. I think it was 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That she was on my. It's one of my older videos, but oh my gosh, she's a great person to. And that's the thing is, and I know that there's certain life path numbers, right?
Yeah.
There's certain life path numbers that they're better manifestors than others.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where there's just planets that are just set up right and they're just great manifestors.
Hmm.
And I think Patty is one of them, right? I
Yeah.
think that
Well,
she's just got it set up. But we also, us who may not have everything clicked to the rightness of life, that it's all about the belief system, because many of us grew up in
yeah.
poverty stricken idealism, poverty idealism. We can, you look at people who are in other countries and they have no shoes, they have no they have, they're playing, soccer with a tin can, and they're having a
Yeah.
fast time. They're not in
Yeah.
poverty stricken idealism, right? But we
Right.
can get into poverty stricken idealism, and it's about negotiating it and scarcity. If you're saying you're out of scarcity, you're in scarcity. you know, I'm
Yeah.
saying now, instead of saying I'm done with scarcity, I'm saying I'm in abundance. I'm
Yeah.
in the flow of the
Yeah.
love,
She does
because
that
that's
all the
the other
time.
side.
Yeah. She does a grateful thing every day. And uh matter of fact, she just walked in. We're talking about you, Patty. She has a saying which is beautiful. It says, uh everything's going my way, even when things aren't going my way.
Uh-huh.
you know and it's that attitude, like, whatever. If it's, so you just look at roadblocks as opportunities, and stuff, and she's just really good about that.
Yeah, and that there again is like me saying when things are kind of a sketchy moment, I say, "Boy, that was amazing," because amazing is a positive word, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's the tone of the voice. Well, that was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, because I want to move into that, frequency of that. I'm seeing the universe's gifts, which I've always done well, but I've kind of had that one foot in scarcity and one foot in positivity. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, I want both feet in and the flow of what the universe is actually giving me, which is blessings, right? That
Yeah.
it's blessings, and but it's believing that, because I know that, I live with someone who stays in scarcity a lot. So it's like it's that fine line on that negotiation. I know my kid who has he was 28 years old and had $200,000 in the bank, right? So I mean, he's always had. And I said, what happens if somebody takes your money, because he's using a debit card with $200,000 in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happens? He goes, I'll just make more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he didn't have the he has the understanding. Like, now he's gone over into the 30, he's just turned 31 years old. Now he says, I really want to not work until I'm 65. So now he's like saying, well, I just know that I want to have abundance, right? I want to have
Yeah.
more in the money. So he's playing. You hear the word I'm using? He's
Hmm.
playing with his money now. He's putting it in different places. He's negotiating a little different, but
Yeah.
he's not attached to the outcome. He likes seeing the numbers, but he's not attached to it. And so with him, he was born with the okay attitude, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But he's a great manifester. If he wants
Yeah.
something, he's got it. And there again, but he's taken his foot off the gas pedal, and and that's one thing that the universe is giving me the message of is that coast at 30
Yeah.
miles an hour. Get where you need to go, but don't try to get there at 80. Don't try to get there, don't try to push the
That's a good
car,
way of putting it. Yeah.
don't try to push the car at it's like, do the things, like today. If I didn't take that 2 hours and rest today, I would have been struggling right now,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I would have been stumbling. I wouldn't have been on, and then now after the show, I'll be on riding the high. So I'll be able to work on my newsletter,
Yeah.
right? I'll be able to do things because my husband's not going to be home until a little bit later, I hope. So I can work on my newsletter without,
Hmm.
having another energy in the house,
Hmm.
and so, I'm hoping that, those that are watching here, thank you for watching. I'm hoping this is making sense to you, because, we have to be okay with where we're at,
Hmm.
because that's that trust, surrender, and acceptance, right? You trust that the universe, and right now we do not know what the universe is going to give us, right? We do
Hmm.
not know. It's like walking into the unknown. We have to be okay with change. We have to be okay with the unknown. I'm safe with the unknown,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Well, in this thing that I do with helping people visit the afterlife, the institute now we're getting close to 80,000 people now that we've helped to visit the afterlife, and we're talking about this manifesting thing. So what we can do is, we want to begin to think about what we want to help it to materialize. You want to visually picture yourself uh, as if it's already happened. In other words, me being a speaker, I have to, in some way, another, just like right now, I'm seeing 300 people in an audience or 500 people or whatever, and I'm on stage and I'm talking and I feel very comfortable and I'm enjoying it and feeling I'm in my zone. And then contacting agencies, so I have to do that, getting my bio done and everything, and knowing that I'm going to have more work to do because they'll want a video of me speaking. So my next gig that I do at one of these events, I'm going to have like a camera person there to just do it and make it look good. So it's got to look professional. So I've got work to do work to do about that. And then just trusting that. Oh, and the reason I brought up the 80,000 is all these sessions we found out, everybody's got a guide or somebody that's there watching over them. Some people have multiple guides, some people have not just your guides, but it's your family members. Like, what I'm surprised at is how many people, when they're in the afterlife, they're surprised that their grandparents show up and that their grandparents
Mhm.
talk to them, and that in Patty, when she went to the afterlife twice now, and her grandfather showed up, and he passed away when she was young. She didn't know him too much, but he said to her, no, I've been with you many lifetimes, and and he said to her, well, actually, through you the one time, remember,
Mhm. Mhm.
he told her how proud he was of her integrity,
Mhm.
and then when she did a life between life session, he showed up again and found out that they're in the other side, they're close soulmates, or not soulmates, but in a soul group, people that you normally incarnate with or something. So um, we want to do what we could do, write it down, visualize, and then pray or meditate about, just even if you don't know what your guide looks like, just make up somebody in your mind of what they look like, and have a conversation in meditation or something and say, look, I can use your help too. And just realizing that you're not alone, that there are people up there that if you're open to listening to their guidance, that's the thing too. We all have guides and everything, but it seems to be not a law, but in other words, they're always talking to us in a way, but because we're not open to it, we don't hear. Comes
Mhm.
on deaf ears. Once you start going, oh, maybe I do have a guide. Okay, let me start listening to you, and all of a sudden you hear, when I say listen, it's like an intuition you have, or not exactly like you're going to hear a voice, although I have heard people hear voices, that sort of thing. But, you know, your inner guidance, it's a divine birthright. And it's something that we all need to tap into because it makes things so much easier. Just imagine if you were driving in your car and every day there was a life coach sitting there with you, you
Mhm.
know, and was saying, "Oh, you're thinking about this, but how about this? Maybe if you do this, it'll be better." And you go, "Oh, thank you. I wasn't thinking of that." Instead of being by ourselves, it's kind of how it is. They're kind of riding along with us in our car every day, and we just have to be open to their guidance. So
Well, and that's the thing is the people don't realize that when we're in synchronicity,
yeah.
when we're in like, I'm looking for a parking spot and somebody pulls out as soon as we need to park, and then we pull right in, right?
Hmm.
That is when the universe is listening to us. When you're
Yeah.
in synchronicity, that's when you can negotiate our life story, and we have to believe that it's not just, well, I can manifest parking places but I can't manifest everything else. Well,
Yeah.
what are you telling yourself? You have to be able to negotiate part of this story around our life, that if we can, like me manifesting those shirts, right, the
Hmm.
mustard color shirts, that's telling me I just have to keep walking my walk. But because I was out in the thrift stores looking for something. So what do I need to do to see, I'm getting it as I'm talking to you right now. So
Hmm.
I need to do the interaction to get what I want, right? And
Yeah.
so, it's about believing in who we are, because we're all intuitive in different ways. And so it's just about believing, because I know that I have been getting a lot of, for a couple years now, a lot of grandparents that people don't know. Well, I don't know that person, so I don't know what you're saying is true or not. But I can tell
Hmm.
you that generation, our grandparents, and great grandparents are the ones that are going through what we went through, are going through right now. The
Oh.
uncertainty coming across
Oh yeah.
the boats, right, into the unknown, going from one government to another government, not knowing all this communication. And this year, oh my gosh, we're coming into some major planetary changes of, like when communication was flipped around. We're going to have things that are flipped around here soon, where it's like, well, that's not something I believe, but why are they telling me this? It's like the propaganda paper that's flying out, that it's like, you're
Yeah.
going to die. And it's like, but I'm living. What,
Yeah.
it's like, so we're going to be getting into these big shifts and changes, and we have to take care of our 3D body, but at the same time we have to be proactive, because it's a great time to manifest.
It
It's a
really
great
is.
time to manifest.
And talking about synchronicities too, I did a session 2 days ago with a gentleman from Israel, and he's living in Hawaii right now. And he's thinking he's on one island, but he wants to fly to another island to get out of that vibe. And he rented a Airbnb for the day so he could have his life between life session. So first thing he says to me, he says, Regan, I get on the plane, to take this 30-minute hop from one thing to the other, thinking about my thing here. I'm sitting next to a guy, and this guy pulls out of his little thing here a book to read, and it was Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And he
See,
just
there's
went,
synchronicity that says he's
yeah,
doing the righter thing.
I'll
That
tell you
he's
that, yeah, he says, I'm ready for this because that was an affirmation for him that, he's doing the right thing. He's in the right place, so, and he thinks like, that's like 1,000,000 to 1 odds, of all the books in the universe. And he's going to have a life between life session. And the person next to him pulls
Mhm.
out the book, there that he's stranger, whatever. So,
Exactly.
and yeah,
And Kimberly says, and I love what you said, Kimberly. I think listening to our intuition might also be a part of it. I know for me that I didn't follow through with my intuition enough. Well said. Um, it's a moment where, that we have to. I know for me, my intuition, it's not always right,
yeah,
but my universe knows that I'm going to listen,
yeah,
right? Even now, sometimes it flies by quick enough that I can't listen to it all the way, but at the same time, though, I'm listening as well as I can, and so, trusting that part of us, but we're in this big shakeup that it's shaking out our old story, and a lot of us
yeah,
have those old stories of scarcity, the old stories of, "I don't have the energy, I've been sick, I can't be healthy enough to do this," it's like, you know the regret, it's like we have some regrets. Like for me, I know that on the Next Level Soul, at the end of the show, he asked me, "What does your intuition tell you?" And Mother Mary was sitting right here wanting me to channel her. Did I jump into that?
yeah,
No. And I know that that moment wasn't necessarily the moment of my life changing, but it was
hmm,
the moment where he either respected me more, I got to that next layer, or I stayed where I was at.
yeah,
And so, that's just my belief system. I don't know if it's true or not, right? But it's about stepping into that next layer of, oh, somebody's here, just jump into it. You have to be willing to jump into this, into the understanding that we may not know what to do, but if we can for sure fake our way through it.
yeah. Well, and I'm just for people listening out there too. I mean, we don't even doubt anymore that we have guides that all this happens because we've done that with 80,000 people, and everybody who we get to the other side has a guide, and that's helping them. So even if no one has a session or they don't even have a session with you, just say, look, in a sense, metaphysical science, as I call it, is proven that we all have these guides, and stuff.
Mhm.
So start using them. It's like you have this tool, this beautiful tool where this entities to help you. And again, every once in a while, I'll mention the prayer that I got when I was coming back from the other side. And it was, bless this day and those that I serve as I keep one foot in heaven and one foot planted firmly on earth to accomplish my mission. And that's what they told me to say when I wake up every day. In other words, just acknowledge, even if you haven't met your guide in person, he's there or she's there or it's there, you
Mhm.
know. And as you wake up, just kind of maybe look up and say, okay, I'm here to listen to you guys today. Help me keep my mind open, help me do more good than bad today. I'm perfectly imperfect, and let's get the day started. And that sets the tone for the day, you know.
Exactly. I know I always add in, let me be of service, let me be of flow, let me be of understanding, let me
Hmm.
be what I am. It's like it's about being of service because I want to negotiate who I am, and my soul's calling to be who I am.
Hmm.
Right? I'm really learning a lot about who I'm meant to be, and it's about bringing light and love to this planet, and
Hmm.
understanding of where we're at. So, Kimberly, thank you. Yes, Deanna. Deanna says, it's learning to trust our feelings. It is.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
is, because sometimes things, when we're manifesting, we start stepping into what we manifest and it doesn't feel right, because we manifested what we've been walking this path for the last 10 years and we're a different person now, and it doesn't feel quite right, or it feels wonderful. So it's
Hmm.
about trusting that feeling, because sometimes when things don't feel quite right, maybe we need to shift the concept a little bit. Maybe we've matured a little bit in, and then it's not, I want to own a bookstore, but it's about wanting to maybe do an online bookstore, right? I don't want to do a, you know in the place. So it's like, um if it's a moment, but we have to learn. Like, I love, Deanna, you said that it doesn't feel right because of fear. It could be fear, and we have to be willing to step through that fear, because fear is meant to be a teller. It's meant to say, stop,
Yeah.
think, stop and think, is this what you truly want? Yes, okay. you know and I've been talking to people about different kinds of fear, because there's the fear of falling off a cliff, right? My safety, fear of driving in a car that's somebody's driving 100 miles an hour, right? There's that fear, but there's also this underlining fear of, like, am I going to be safe? Is my nervous system going to be safe? Is my soul going to be safe? Is this move that I'm going to be making part of my core safety feeling? Would I be able to, like, for me, if I was not be able to walk barefoot, that wouldn't be a form of safety for me. That would be a little fearful for me, right? It would be a little bit of unease for me. And so there again, I'm going to have to make sure that wherever I am, that I could at least go barefoot, right? Because that's my safety. It's not necessarily fearful anymore if I can do that. So it's
Hmm.
like finding out what kind of fear you have and where does it sit in the body can really help you negotiate walking forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can you believe it? Hours gone by already, and we're just sitting here talking.
I know.
That's
Oh my
great.
gosh, Regan. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's fun, like on your podcast, and I'm glad you have the regulars there that are here all the time. It's like we're all just sitting in a living room, just talking about something, more than like the football playoffs or something. I mean, we're
Mhm.
talking about little things, and it's like going to church. Everybody's, uh, like-minded people are there to just try to keep their mind more on the important things and about our evolution, I guess, into spiritual knowledge and things. So it's just nice. I always like. I'm glad. So, and I'll say the same thing next month. I'll go, oh God, it's that time already again. You know,
Exactly,
in February.
exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I know people ask me, like, somebody asked me on the radio, do they think the Seahawks are gonna win the Super Bowl?
Oh, that's right. You got the Seahawks. Yeah.
Uh-huh, and I
Are
said,
they?
there's a possibility, but the thing is, though, they have to be feeling worthy of it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have to feel worthy of it. If they don't feel worthy of it, they won't get it, even if I predict they can.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right? So if
Hmm.
we can leave you with anything, thank you so much, guys, that you're saying that you enjoyed the conversation today. I so enjoy it when Regan's on. It's just amazing having this conversation that goes back and forth. I'm just so
Well,
grateful for you.
yeah, and anybody that's listening out there, if you go to my website, Visit the Afterlife, if you haven't already been before, there's some great videos on there, and it can show you how you too can do like what Natasha and I have done, and that's to visit the afterlife and meet your guides face to face and talk to people that have passed on over there, and you can meet your higher self. It's so nice now that the way God has opened up this portal for anybody to visit the heaven, then all of a sudden you realize, gosh, life is pretty cool. I mean, we're actually kind of, you realize that most of us of who we are is actually in the afterlife. We're just down here visiting with part of our soul self, but the main part of our soul self is back home.
Mhm.
The part that doesn't have any trouble manifesting, the part of us that can forgive people, the part of us that's super patient and kind and
Uh-huh.
everything. So we're just down here. So anybody wants to visit it, let me know. I'm booking into April now, so it gives you plenty of time to prepare. Um, but it's life altering, for sure, that way. And Natasha now too, and for you out there too, I'll just, I've said this each time I see her, she's helping a lot of my clients too, who need some help with some things. And so I appreciate that. I'm glad when we can do a 1-2 thing with them. It's really good. And they always speak highly of you, Natasha. So
Well,
this is
thank
great.
you. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I am just so grateful whenever I can help people because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who have a hard time going under into meditation. There's usually a block. And I
Yeah.
love to invite the soul and the mental mind to
Yeah.
negotiate through some of those blocks. So thank you for trusting me, Regan. And
Sure. You're
I know
welcome.
that on my front page of my website, I have 10% off all sessions right now, and I'm going to do that through the end of February,
Hmm.
just to honor the energies that we're going through right now. That I just want to have people, be able to negotiate what we're going through because it's very life altering that we're going through right now. We're going through major life shifts, and if and we can't do it alone. I know for me, even as intuitive
Yeah.
I am, I've been calling some of my friends that are intuitive about certain questions and about helping me through some emotions. So even I am asking for some assistance. And so don't feel like you
Yeah.
go through this energy alone. Don't feel like you need to be alone. Because I know for me being a double cancerian, it's easy for me to get in my crab shell and
Yeah.
go underneath the rock.
Well, and two, I'm happy to actually do an online session to teach people how to do the EFT or the tapping and the havening and whatever. And I know and that would be to remove whatever blocks you have about making change. In other words, just balancing the energy in your body. Like, I never, when I was in Mexico for 2 years and didn't have a lot to do because I thought I was going to retire down there back about 10 years ago. And I always wanted to write a book, but I just thought, what's keeping me from writing a book? I really want to do this or something. So I did the tapping on myself with, each layer of what I thought was keeping me from writing a book. And one of them was, Regan, you never finish what you start, says, even though you start things, you never finish, Regan. The other thing that I tapped on was, yeah, I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to do this. And the third thing was, as I'm tapping, is like, who's going to want to read what I have to say? Um, and after I finished that, the next day I started to write, and I couldn't stop. I wrote like 3 books in 6 months, and published them.
Wow.
And so because I removed those blocks that I had by balancing the energy in my body. So if
Mhm.
anybody wants to learn how to do it properly and everything too, I mean, it's something you can learn in a couple hour session, just how to do it. Then you have this amazing tool to remove blocks anytime you have them. So
Mhm. And you have
anyway,
to trust what language comes to you through that process because
yeah,
the higher self wants to bring that language out. So if you start saying something and it's like, I'm too tired to do, I believe I'm too tired to do it. It's like, oh, why are you, why am I saying that? That's not right. Well, there is something truth about it, right?
yeah,
Because it did come up. So believe what's coming up for you. So
yeah.
Regan, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
you're welcome.
I know we're at 10 minutes over and I don't want to keep people from their life's journey. Thank you so much. So you're back the third week of February is what we're
February, yeah. Hmm.
you got it blocked out?
I I'm looking for my
Right
I,
in front.
I I have them set my thing here is on my appointment book here. Oops. There we go.
I
Because
love
I know
that.
I've been booking so many sessions. Let me see what I have here. And that would be one, two, I think wait a minute, would it be the 18th? No, wait a minute. Okay.
Well, we
The
can do this off
first,
the air. But
yeah, 4th, 11th, 18th, and yeah, I've got that. Well, I have a client down here that's getting back to me, but usually I'm done by 4 anyway. If they book a session, I'll book it earlier in that
Mhm.
way, and I'm putting it down here for the 18th.
Well, if not, we can always do it another week. But thank you
Yeah,
everyone for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for honoring us with your gifts of being here and witnessing us, and remembering your truth is your truth. That we are just a perspective. So try follow your truth and honor who you are, because we're all on this path of walking forward. And may you know that you're so loved and you are a blessing.
Yeah.
We're all a miracle. It took us to be a miracle to be born and to make that spark for us to become who we are. So now it's just for us to believe that we're walking our miracle life, right? Even
Hmm.
though, like my morning, life happens to us.
Yeah.
It's about believing in who we are. That was an interesting cough.
Yeah.
Or sneeze.
Oh, hey, I want to give a recommendation. I just watched it. I didn't think I'd like it, but I really liked it. I watched it twice, and I don't usually do that. But it's called The Life of Chuck. It's out on I think it's on Hulu right now, and it's a very it makes you really think about life and how
Mm,
life
mhm.
happens, the things that happen to you. It's actually written by Stephen King, but it's more metaphysical than anything. You know, it's a
Well, he
very
was quite metaphysical, so
yeah,
in his
yeah,
backwards way.
yeah. But it's pretty entertaining and it's nice anyway.
Well,
All
blessings,
right,
everyone, and
we'll
thank
see
you for being
everybody.
here. See you next Wednesday. And thank you and please remember, I do posts Monday through Friday, just 2-minute little video posts about life's journey. Bye now.
See you next month.